people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Tonight I'm going to take a look at and go through some of the highlights of the build for the Bandai 1/12 scale Boba Fett from Star Wars. This version's from Empire Strikes Back. I was really hoping for a Return of the Jedi version since we have been getting a lot of Empire Strikes Back versions. The packaging, it's what we've gotten used to with the model kits. It's just a straight black package with pictures on the side and just showing different kit options. Nice picture on the front, the black back. And I saw somebody ask the question of whether these are sealed or taped shut, or they should be. No, they're not. It's just this is the way they come. Now inside we have gray parts, green parts, kind of a greenish beige. I'm kind of excited. This is an all-new kit. My last build was the Sand Trooper, which is pretty much a redo of the Stormtrooper. Same, parts, same build. So, something different. That's cool. Some orange parts. Looks like shoulder pads, knee pads, black parts, gray parts. The base, the standard sticker decals, and more gray parts. As always, I'm not going to go through the full build. That'd take forever. I'm too slow. So if I run into any snags or, as cool stuff pops up, I will show that. And then at the end, I'll have the review of the full figure. Getting the head together, not a biggie. But I got to the visor here, and there was an extra piece sticking up off the top of the visor. And I don't know what this means, but it showed like part of the sprue still sticking up off the top of the visor. And I thought maybe I shouldn't have stuck the dome on first, but no, it would have covered the red. So, I mean, I don't know if that means snip that off or what that means, but it was just a little piece of clear black, well, smoky, transparent kind of looking, When I was putting the edges in, the edges kind of wanted to stick out right here, but they just popped right in. And it's not looking bad. It looks pretty cool. Okay, I do like that the chest armor is separate pieces. Each of these snap on separately. I do like that. And as I've gone along, I've been sticking the decals on. I know Stomping Freak is going to give me a hard time about it, but once you get used to something, it's hard to break that habit, you know what I mean? But looking at it and going through the decals already, I can tell that this is going to need some silver paint, at least, I think I can get away with not shading the undersuit, the grays and the darker grays. But the greens, the armor pieces, yeah, they're definitely going to need some silver. Everything's going together pretty well. I mean, actually better than pretty good. Everything seems to be snapping together. I like the belt. It snapped on the sides, and it stays on there. But I got to the knee pad. There are these tiny little pegs, I guess, that peg into these holes right here. Man, they are tiny. I put the big one in first. Yeah, that's the big one. I'm breaking out the needle nose. I'm afraid when I snip that, it's gonna go flying. Yeah, when I cut it out, it wasn't even a snap. That's just kind of scary. But let's see if I can get it in there without losing it. Oh, hot dang. Look at that. I got it in there. Yeah. And it seems like when they get in there, they're not going to fall back out. So, no need for glue yet, so far, anywhere on this kit. Ooh, Bandai, you're cheating. I noticed it on the holster. The holster is one piece, and we've gotten used to, snapping pieces together, halves, whole, but the holster doesn't snap together. It's just molded like this for the gun to go in, where you would think the outside and the inside would be, two pieces. Then you put it together. Well, I get to the arm, and it's the same way. It's, you expect this piece to be half and half, but that's one solid piece. I didn't put that together. I haven't cleaned it up either. But, yeah, it's just, sticks out at me as odd. I'm not complaining. you know, it would be more solid. Well, it is more solid, molded as one piece. So, yeah, a little bit different, but it's cool. I do worry about this hose right here. It bends and it pulls, but it looks like it's kind of stressing it right there. It's not a flimsy material, so I don't know if it's supposed to do that. Too much bending and I'm afraid it's going to break right there. And I've seen people comment on the elbows looking funky, but it looks like it was made that way to get actually the bend into it, because the gauntlet blocks the lower articulation of the elbow. And it acts like it wants to pull out like the Stormtrooper to give more range, and it does, really. I mean, but it's not as slidey as the Stormtrooper. Getting down to the Padawan braids, or Wookiee braids, or whatever canon you adhere to, it also has a lot of these sprue, whatever they are, sticking off of them to here. And it looks mostly like it's on thin parts, so I don't know why they're on there. Maybe add some stability to the molding process. I couldn't tell you, but there's a note up here that I don't know what it says, but it looks like you just snip them off. So that's what I'm going to do. A little trick that I've figured out. I'm sure it's not a new trick, but putting the gun together, it has a little gray tip. You put the tip on first, and then you snip it out. That way you don't have to deal with tiny little part and just trying to, you know, manhandle it on there. You just snip it out, then you have the tip. And there you go, all put together. Building this, it was more fun than with the Sand Trooper, C-3PO, and even kind of R2-D2. This was kind of a throwback to the Stormtrooper, Darth Vader. But the first thing you notice after you get them together is he needs paint. There's just a lot of missing detail. Boba Fett in the movie, he just had so much detail going on. The scuffs, the paint rubs, the dents, the different colors all over his body. This is just kind of plain, out of the package. But let me remind you, this is a model kit. There's supposed to be some paint involved. Yeah, some parts are molded in the right color, but that's just better for us. That's the base color. You come back in, paint over it, it should be good. Looking at it and comparing it to the Black Series Boba Fett, which I'll get to here in a minute, I think I could get away with just using some silver just to scuff up the armor pieces. Just punch in that extra little detail. The jumpsuit, I think I'm good with leaving that just kind of a gray and letting natural shadows do their thing there. Now, there is other places, like right here, I'm going to call it a keypad. That's all I know. These little buttons are supposed to be red and I think blue or green, something like that. And the rocket needs some detail work with the paint. And here, and the backpack, again, scuffs. But for the most part, getting silver in there would help a lot. Even his boot spikes are the color of his boots when they're supposed to be, silver. And those are sharp. Watch out for those. The sculpt is nice. It's nice and detailed. Every little thing is just punched in there. And like I always say during the model kit reviews, every piece is a separate piece. So yeah, the detail is going to be there. The chest armor, it actually looks like different plates on the undersuit. The helmet has the dent in it, as does the cod piece here. Overall, I do like the feel of him. And I like that he has a nice balance. He's slightly, very, very slightly back heavy because of the backpack. You can just leave him. You put him on the shelf, leave him. He stays there. That's cool. Another thing I really like that I've noticed is the shoulder pads. The shoulder pads are on the usual swivel, but pushing it together, it allows you to hide the articulation at the shoulder. which, you know, on action figures sometimes kind of sticks out, but this just makes Fett's silhouette blend in. It's like a solid figure, and I like that. Now, as far as articulation goes, it's all the usual points. First of all, his cape, or whatever this is, hanging over his shoulder, there's not a lot of movement to it. There's a ball that goes down in there, but it doesn't act like a ball. It's more like a swivel. You can just get it out of the way a little bit. You can put it wherever, but it tends to pop out. Now I'm going to leave that off for articulation's sake right now. The backpack, or the jetpack, whatever you want to call it, it's on a slight ball joint inside his back. If you pull that off, you can see it's 2 pegs. It goes into 2 ball joints here. So you can't get side to side, but you can get some up and down. The thrusters here are on swivels, so you can swivel those out, point them back, whatever you want to do there. Coming around, his rangefinder, I guess, can come down over his eye. This makes me want a Scale Slave 1, but we'll never see that. Bring it back up. Now that is kind of fragile. It feels fragile. I keep saying fragile, and when I get down here I'll explain that, but I haven't had a problem with it going crooked. It's nice and straight. The neck, you don't get any up, which kind of sucks for, you know, a supposed flying character. It just bounces off the back of his head. He can look down pretty good, but still not great. And then swivel, nice side to side. And there's also a bit of articulation at the bottom of the neck, so you can shift forward and back. It's not the greatest range, but it also goes side to side a little bit all around. The shoulders, I'm going to show it on the left one since the right one has those braids around it. It swivels out. Like I said, the shoulder pad is on a hinge, so it hinges out, get out of the way, and you can pull it out for more range of movement. He can get up about that far. It swivels around, and it's on a ball inside a butterfly joint, so you can bring that out like that. It swings out, and he can put his arm in front of his body. Now, like always, it looks a little bit strange, but the shoulder pad helps to hide that a little bit. Then you can bring it back around, bring it up. He's got a swivel at the bicep, and of course a hinge at the elbow. Now that's a double hinge, but the wrist gauntlets kind of get in the way of the bottom hinge. But like the Stormtrooper, you can pull it down a little bit to get more range, but it's not as smooth as the Stormtrooper. The Stormtrooper just kind of glides. This feels like you're going to pull it off if you pull too far, and pushing it back up, like it has detents in it as you push up. The wrist is in a socket. It's kind of a ball. It goes around and it swivels. Now over here on this elbow, you have this pipe coming from the gauntlet up and plugging into his bicep. And at first it came off the sprue and I stuck it in there, and I was kind of worried that it would break, but I have not had a problem with it yet, and I've brought his arm all the way up here. It's a bit scary. I don't want to move it a lot, but it does go back to shape once you come back around. I don't know what kind of plastic that is. It has come out of the bicep a little bit. Plug it right back in, you're good to go. The waist is on a ball. You can get around, you can get back, you can get forward, and it's kind of a double ball. At the top of the, the abs going up into this top piece, there's a joint, and then that piece going down into the waist is kind of a ball joint too, so it gets around. The hips, again, what we've gotten used to with the model kits, you can get some range of movement, but the best way to do it is to shift these down, and you can't hardly see it because of the pouch, and then you can get out quite a bit and forward, and the pouches hide it really well, and then back, and then you just shift it back up for neutral position, and it's kind of a lock in there. And you can see that the thigh swivel is hidden pretty well. It swivels at the bottom, and the leg kind of forms up around it. The pouches here, Just like the Black Series, they kind of get in the way, but there is some give to them. They do come out a little bit. And if you shift the leg down, you can get forward quite a bit. Not sitting position, but quite a bit. This one acts funky. It wants to stick up, and it doesn't feel like it's flexing. It feels more like it's pulling off the belt. But I haven't had a problem with it yet. You have the double knees, and it gets to there. It's not cut out very far. So, yeah, about right there. A little past 90. Not all the way up to where he can kick his own ass, but not terrible either. The feet are on a swivel at the bottom, and then it hinges forward and back. Back about that far and forward about there. And then, of course, the forward-facing peg. You can get some rocker ankle out of it. Now, the braids around his shoulder, they are stiff. They kind of snap around. Sometimes they snap and it worries me. And I was kind of worried that it would fall off, come out of the peg, but I haven't had a problem with it, and I've been cranking the arm all around. He does come with an extra left hand that's splayed out. That's for holding the gun, or holding up his rifle. Or I guess you could use it as a flight hand. I really feel like the thumb is huge on this hand and the fingers are kind of stubby. I don't know if it's the glove or what's going on there. And then he comes with his smaller pistol. And the holster here is, the strap for it is kind of the same material as this pipe right here. You got to pop it out of the hole and kind of get the gun in there without making it feel like it's going to snap off. It's gotten easier the more I move it. Then that pegs into the hole. Bring this down, and it's nice and secure in there. There's not a lot of give to the holster, and it kind of just plugs to the belt, but it does swing out a little bit if you want to move his leg around. And it looks nice. It's just snug against his leg. It doesn't stick out too far like, a lot of holsters. And then he comes with his, normal rifle, which I believe, if I remember right, is a pistol modified to look like a rifle with a stock and, kind of long. And as always, I put the hand with the trigger finger, I snapped it on there. That's going to stay there. It's not going anywhere. I don't like messing with the small piece of the fingers. And the hand, it has the peg. It doesn't really have a mushroom head on it or anything. This socket is kind of a rubber material, and it sticks around the peg pretty well. And he can hold his gun, no problem. Shoot from the hip. Yep, that's pretty cool. Here he is with the Black Series version of Fett, and I have to say that Boba Fett from the Black Series is probably the best Black Series Star Wars figure there is, for me anyway. Yeah, there's some good ones, there's some bad ones, but Fett stands out, and it's not because it was a pain in the ass to get him at Comic-Con. It's just that he's really well executed, but you can see the differences here. The model kit Fett just flows body-wise a lot better than the Black Series version. I like how the shoulders, he's kind of broad. They sit normally on the model kit. Here they kind of just slide down because of the, hinge and swivel here at the shoulder. But as you can see, with the silver paint and the detail work of the paint, it just brings out a lot of his detail where it's lost here on the model kit, only because it's plain right now. This is Boba Fett when he was new. Give him a break. And on the back, there's not a huge difference in the backpacks. It's there may be a slight size difference. The rockets are really different. I don't know which one's more accurate, but you can see how the Black Series version's holster sticks out. The model kit lays down, it stays back behind. You can almost not see it from the front. So at the end of the day, I am happy with the model kit. He'll be replacing the Black Series version on the shelf. Maybe I'll find a different version. Maybe I'll give it to my kid. I still have the prototype version of that Fett, so I wouldn't be missing that mold. The Black Series is kind of hard to stand. The ankles kind of give, or he kind of falls back. Like I said about the model kit, you put it on the shelf, it stays. He's going to stand. It's just more natural, I feel. And yeah, I know some people are disappointed that they have to put paint on this one. So far, with the previous model kits, if you didn't want to paint, you can get away with it. But I just feel for this to be Boba Fett, he's going to need some silver, the scuffs, the metal parts, and then, you know, some extra detail paint to bring out the wrist gauntlets, the backpack, his fork and knife set on his shins, you know. And I know these model kits are becoming more of a problem, even though I think Ami Ami did put up BB-8, and it's still up for pre-order. I don't know what happened there. The fear of these becoming hard to get from overseas, I know that's a bummer. But if you can, get them, or wait for Amazon to get them. It's just, you know, the fun of the build. The final figure is all just great. I love these things. I will continue to get these any way I can. So if you like the review, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the Fwoosh. Now, as you can see, I have shifted this band up a little bit, just barely off the eyes. It leaves a slight line right here where it's supposed to be down, where it actually snaps down. But I've raised it up a little bit. It's a little bit more movie accurate to have a space there.